Hey everybody, Hernke here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm with two very special guests. These gentlemen I've known for a very, very long time. My Uncle Dennis and Uncle Dale Hernke. Thank you guys for coming on my channel today. We're having some old fashions and some cheese curds, right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. And I want to pick your brain about the cheese business. What got you guys started in the cheese business? Now, Paul Hernke, you're next, so take note what they're saying. Who wants to start? How did you guys get started in making cheese?
Give her a shot, or you want me to start? Go ahead. Well, we got started in the cheese business because our father was in it, and we used to work on the lines when we were young people of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, and we'd be making a lot of cheese links. These were little 1 or 2 ounce little cheese links, and we put cold packed cheese in it. And that's basically what we did when we were younger, is make little links to put in the Wisconsin Cheese Man was the name of the company, into their Christmas baskets. So that's how we got our start working at the plant as young people. And it continued. It just kept continuing until we got out of high school, and then we started working there continually. And I would work more than Dennis. I was the ambitious one of the bunch.
When you're talking about the cheese and the cheese links, are they those little plastic tubes that have the silver things on the ends? And my dad always took a ton of them home and we'd pass them out at Halloween. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes, I remember those things. They were so good. Yes, we were the people in Wisconsin that would pass out cheese on Halloween. I remember those things very well. Those were very good.
Yes, I had people on my school bus route after we retired that lived in that area, and they talked about the Hernke's were handing out cheese links at Halloween, so they were familiar with it. So then, what would be next here? Well, I was the guy that ran the machine that made these little links. There was processed ones that Hans is referring to, and the ones we made for the Wisconsin Cheesemen were cold pack product in those, and they were for 3 ounce links. I remember them going down the line, and we used to take toilet tissue and wipe the ends off to get the cheese off of them that was still in the film. So it was a big family affair. The Grieve children and the Hernke kids were working on this line, and occasionally our Uncle Butch had a holler at us to keep us working, because we were young and liked to talk and not probably work as hard as he wanted us to. So that's the first stuff. Then we started working when we got in high school, or after high school, we started working in the plants as the regular labor on the lines. We were making, I remember making a lot of refills, they call them, because these crocks, they used to make a refill that you could take it out and slide the cheese in the crock. And we made those all by hand at that time. and we made different sizes. Now that one on my right, the 20 ounce, and this is a 12 ounce size. So we made a lot of different sizes of crocks. Even some of them were 40 ounces.
Ooh.
So
And then they get turned into piggy banks later.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I remember, I think I had one that had my name on it, and yeah.
Yeah, you had to put glue on the top and cut a line in there so that you wouldn't steal the money out.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yours never shook with money and it was always stolen out.
Yeah, who did that?
So
Who did that?
from there on, we worked our way through the plant. I remember when I first started in the plant after this, after high school, I worked in the plant itself, blending the cheese in the, we call them clubbers. You would put cheese in the blender and blend it up, and then we put it in a stuffer, it was called, that you put your cheese, roll it into the stuffer, and then put it in a pipe system and shoot it to wherever you wanted to use it. And that's how we would make that. Now, at first, the crocks that went here, there was just a little bag, and they'd put 12 ounces in the little bag, and then drop it in here, twist the bag, and stick it in and shut it. And then Dennis, we also had that chub machine that would make a chub and fit right into this crock also. So then we made the old famous wedgie, we called it. It was a little thing that looked like a little sat up like a little wedgie, like a wood splitting wedgie, and we used to make that. I never was blessed to work on that line, but I made the cheese for it. So what you got, brother?
It was a that wedge that I was talking about was a very inexpensive package, and so that kept the cost down for the consumer. And we had, in this wedgie process, was the wedgie wheel, and the people working on the wedgie wheel, some would sit there and fold, some would sit there and iron the wedge to seal it, and then on the conveyor it would go. And down the line they'd package it into the boxes that were sent away to New York, wherever. I never liked working on the wedgie wheel because my fingers weren't fast enough to fold these wedges up. But we got to do the more physical labor on that part of the line.
Was that at the plant that you showed me earlier today?
Yes, that's
Okay.
Calumet cheese.
Okay.
Daddy's plant.
Wow. So at that point, what made you guys decide, all right, we need to create Hernke cheese and get out there and get a different plant, the one that Sargento has now?
Well, if I remember it right, we were sitting in my office at Calumet Cheese Company, and the parent company was doing things that we probably didn't like, or what was going on. And I remember the discussion between Paul and Dale and I about maybe we should do this for ourselves instead of for Nestle's. So the ball got rolling. Became Hernke Cheese. Later on, it turned to Hernke Foods because it wasn't just cheese that we were producing at the plant. Okay?
Yeah. And how did you guys pick out the plot of land where you wanted to build the factory? And I imagine it started off small, and now it's a big building that we see today. So how did you scope out the land and like this would be a good spot to put this plant?
Well, you happen to own, did you own the whole piece?
Actually, we got the property from our uncle, Herman Grieve. He had this piece of farm property that we used to work on picking weeds and stones as young people. But we talked to him if we could buy his property for our new plant, and he sold it to us. Now, the plant bought a certain part of it, and I bought the house that was on there. I bought that house and lived there for a bunch of years. And then at one time, when Sargento was looking for more land, they approached me and asked if I was interested in selling my property, and I sold them the property. So that's how Sargento got going and continued to
Be a distributor?
well, I guess so. They didn't quite distribute our stuff, but we were making items for Sargento.
Yeah. The Moutons snackers.
Yes,
Right.
we developed that for Sargento.
How did you guys come up with the idea for the Mouton snacker? Was it something that just popped in your head like, hey, I think this would be a really cool idea if we put some breadsticks with some cheese? Like, how did that idea form?
I think they approached us to put together these breadsticks and some cheese in this container.
We had
Yep.
made something similar to that years before. It was just Ritz crackers with a little processed cheese. It was Ritz crackers round, and then there was a little area that had just cheese spread in it. Not spread, but processed. That was many years ago. So we were the first ones in our area to start selling crackers and cheese in one little package. But for us, it didn't go over like it went over for Sargento. We were too early with the idea, so we were really young when that happened.
And one thing I remember you guys making, my dad would make home a lot, was a container that had nacho cheese, salsa, and the chips. I love those things. You guys made those for a while, right? And then they got discontinued. Is that what happened?
Well, we made a package that had rye chips in it. And what cheese did we put in that packet? I think the processed cheese. Or salsa. I don't quite remember if it was salsa or the nacho cheese. But we were into that before Sargento came to us and wanted us to make this little Mouton snacker that we ended up making for him. So we started making that. We were doing that 24 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, counting these little sticks and putting them in these little packages.
8 sticks.
Eight
right?
sticks, yes.
And you counted them by hand? There was no machine
Yes.
that sorted them out?
No machines started it out. So that's why we only work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Man. Yeah, I remember my dad would bring home a lot of duds.
Yes.
And I would feast on those all the time. And then I remember having a pretend cheese factory in our basement. And my dad brought home several packages that had nothing in it. And I pretended to make an assembly line, and these things would go down the assembly line. Did my dad ever tell you that? I had a pretend cheese factory in the basement of the Menasha
I never
house.
heard that.
Never
No.
heard it. You could have come and worked by us.
Yeah,
and
there
you'd
we
have
go.
been on the line.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my dad bringing those home a lot, and then all the duds we'd eat those like crazy, and then it eventually became pretzels, right? Pretzels, and then now I'm seeing like cookie dips and things like that.
Yes.
But you guys weren't involved with that. It was just the cheese, the pretzels, and the
Right.
sticks.
Right.
And then they took Moutons, they rebranded it into something else. Is that right?
They make a lot of the Moutons for different customers with a different name on it.
Private label product.
Private label products, yes.
Okay.
So I can't even tell you how many Moutons they still make. Maybe they don't.
Our son, my son Patrick, is still involved with the cheese and stick lines, producing them every day. And I think it goes around the clock.
Wow.
Especially with school starting now, that would bring a demand for more Moutons.
Yeah.
For the kids for their snacks.
Oh yeah, I remember bringing those to school all the time. And now we have balance brakes, which I see on the table.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you can slide them down if you want. Here we go.
We'll have to ask Sargento for a cut for them for us.
That's right.
Doing
This
advertisements.
is free advertisements. Yeah, balance brakes. I eat these a lot, and it's funny. The lead actor on our show Animal Kingdom, Ellen Barkin, she was addicted to these. She carried them. Her assistant would carry them around, and I went up to her assistant and I said, "You know, those are made in my dad's old factory."
Pablo's is the name that my brother Paul, and Pablo's in Mexican is, or Paul's name in Mexican is Pablo's. So that's where it got started. The nacho sauce and other things that we made.
Salsa, right?
Yeah.
Guacamole.
Salsa. What's that?
Guacamole.
Guacamole.
Bean dip.
Alfredo sauce, right?
Oh, that was our Italian line.
Okay.
We're on the Mexican line now.
Oh, all right. Very good. And did Sargento distribute that for you guys? Or was that through your own?
Sargento, when they bought us out, they were distributing our products until they decided to start making different products at the Hernke Foods plant, and then they dropped our lines. So
Okay.
that's how the lines got dropped.
No. Yeah, what year was that? Did that happen?
1990?
When did we start Hernke's? 1979?
Yeah, but it was dropped in 1990
Oh, okay.
when we sold to Sargento.
So
Yeah.
then we all retire and start driving school buses.
There we go. And we have one Hernke that still works at the plant. That's still there, and they expand a little bit more to keep the nuts in there, right? That's what I heard
into the Mouton.
for these.
In the balance break.
Yeah.
The people who work in that building say they work in the nut house.
The nut house. That's right. The nut house. Going back real quick to when you guys were very active in the company, my dad went on a lot of food shows too. Did you go with the food shows with him, or was he the man that would rep the company while you guys were hanging back?
Our salesman would go with your dad, and they would go to the shows. We did go to one show that was in Florida at the Fontainebleau. You maybe know where the Fontainebleau in Miami is. What?
No. No, I don't.
So anyway, that's when Brother Paul was the head of the National Deli and Cheese Association, and he was the president, and they left him have the top floor of the Fontainebleau, and that's where we stayed.
Nice.
At the Fontainebleau. I remember one morning waking up, looking out my window, and there goes the Goodyear blimp right past my window. So
Oh, that's funny.
yes, that was interesting. So
Yeah, imagine those food shows are kind of like the Comic-Con for cheesemakers, and that's where you would find like more channels to distribute your product. Is
yeah,
that
people
okay?
would come around and ask if they could sell the product or be their distributor in a certain area, and that's how your company would keep growing.
Okay. Speaking of your brother, I was given this to look at. I heard one of you knows the story behind it. What's the story behind Paul Hernke, the muskie, the big one that got away? This is 73?
1973, yeah.
What?
He thought he was extra strong, and he had a muskie on, and he took this handle like this, and he gave it a good jerk to set the hook on the fish. And when he jerked it like this, the rod broke off right here. So the reel went that way, and the end of the rod, and he ended up with the fish pole in his hand, and the fish got away. And then 3 years later, while Paul was up there, they found this end of the rod. Somebody brought it in. I don't think Paul found it, but somebody brought it in. It was 3 years later, and they found the tip of the rod. So that was up in Lake of the Woods, Ontario. So
I think I went up there with them one time on one of those trips.
you did? I don't know.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's a nice piece of history right there.
That is.
I like it.
Paul should have it, and I think you can get it to him now.
I think I can.
Yes.
Yeah, in January. All right, guys. Thank you for filling me in on your Hernke family history of making cheese. I gotta pick Paul's brain next, so get ready, Paul. I'm coming for you next. So, in closing, what do you guys want to say to anybody that's watching right now that wants to start their own business, that's interested in cheese making, something that would inspire them? Do you have anything you'd like to say to them?
My thoughts would be you'd have to start working in a cheese factory or something similar and start out real small, and then you buy into a cheese factory somewhere. Maybe like Scray's Cheese, something small. I guess you can start small and make your cheese spread or have somebody else make it for you, and become a distributor. And that might be a way you can get started in this business. To go nationwide might be pretty tough at first for you to be selling product. It takes a while. You got to have good distributors of your product.
Well, how about you?
I guess deep pockets would be one of the things you need is a good backing to get into the business. As far as getting into the cold pack business, there isn't too many cold packers left. Our friends in Kaukauna have pretty much taken over the cold pack business. Other than that, I don't have anything that I can say now.
It's all good. It's been a privilege, gentlemen, to interview you. Thank you
Yes.
for the old fashions, the cheese curds. Cheers. Thank you so much for coming out, checking out our interview. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the notification button below for more interviews, more stuff coming up. Well, Dale, Dennis, thank you guys again. I appreciate you guys. And that's it. This is Hans Hernke signing out. Bye-bye.
Uncle Dale here.
Uncle Dennis.
Bye.